Now to state governance. This time, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has signed the 2.267 trillion naira 2024 appropriation bill of Lagos State into law, ushering in a new expenditure cycle. Governor Sanwo-Olu says the budget of renewal will bring about new growth for Lagos State.
Activities of the new year kicks off at the Lagos House Alausa Ikeja with the signing of the 2.267 trillion naira appropriation bill into law by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Of the total budget, 1.315 trillion naira represents 58% allocated for capital expenditure, while the recurrent spending gulped 952.4 billion naira, which represents 42% of the budget. During the ceremony attended by some state executives, the State Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Mr. Ope George, says the state's 2024 expenditures reflect the needs of all the 5 Ibile divisions in Lagos.
This budget came into realization as a result of our established procedures, starting from the hosting of major revenue stakeholder meetings, where we met with all the MDAs. We then went on to determine our revenue projections, usually a 3-year projection. We moved on to the preparation and approvals of the MTFF, the medium-term fiscal framework, which we prepared based on aggregated resources available to the government to drive its various programs and projects for the next 3 years. We moved on to the Budget Consultative Forum, which we held physically in the 5 divisions of the state, Ikeja, Badagry, Ikorodu, Lagos Island, and Ekpe. This gave us a wider perspective of the challenges of citizens and residents, and thus ensured contribution of all to the budget process in accordance with the state government's policy on inclusive governance. We then proceeded to the budget disaggregation meetings, which centered on allocation of funds to different COFO groups, bearing in mind the government's priorities such as completion of ongoing projects, our revenue drive, and infrastructural development for the state. Mr. Governor, sir, we had bilateral discussions with all the MDAs. We had our budget collation session. We then proceeded to the draft presentation to the State Treasury Board, upon which we eventually presented the draft budget to the Executive Council under your distinguished chairmanship. Upon that, the draft budget was then presented to the House of Assembly for ratification.
The Deputy Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Honorable Mojisola Miranda, assures of full implementation of the appropriation law.
On behalf of other 39 members, we have done the needful. We've thoroughly looked at the budget proposal, and we've done what is expected of us to do by looking at it and putting things that are supposed to be put where they are supposed to be, because that shows the freedom that the House has, the relationship between the executive and we, the legislators. This has always been a yearly thing, and it's just unfortunate that this year's zone is coming a little bit late. This is not in our usual practice in Lagos. Come 30th, 31st of each year, we return back the budget for Mr. Governor's assets.
Governor Sanwo-Olu says the budget of renewal will bring about new growth in the area of infrastructure, environment, education, and technology that will be feasible for all.
Total figure that I'm told that has been passed by the House now stands at 2,367,976,120,000.869. This budget also was increased by about 21.74 billion, higher than the figure that we presented, and we've been informed that the addition is to reflect additional allocation to ensure completion of roads, and to give critical support to critical areas as identified by the Honorable House. And so on your behalf, we want to clap and thank them again for putting justice to this. The measure of this Appropriation Act success will be how effective we implement for our citizens. And you know too well that our administration is fully committed at achieving the objectives that have been set within this budget numbers. And we believe that the numbers that have been set forward will not only help to advance, better economic sustainability for our residents, it's also done in alignment with our Teams Plus developmental agenda. We therefore want to pledge to diligently work towards the completion of a lot of our ongoing projects and to successfully initiate new ideas and new endeavors that will bring about the team's agenda. I must therefore underscore the necessity of what we see as a collective responsibility at ensuring that we can have a successful execution of this budget, particularly the need for citizens to fulfill their own civic prompt responsibility because it's a partnership. Indeed, one person cannot execute it alone. And I keep saying, we're the same coin, we're just two different sides of the coin. You have a part to play, and we have our part to play. Our administration will remain steadfast in upholding the highest level of accountability and transparency and ensuring that the greatest good is for the greatest number. And we will stand stewardship to ensure that the trust that you've given to us is well kept.
The Lagos State government is pledged to uphold the highest level of transparency and accountability in the implementation of the 2024 budget to improve the lives of citizens.